The rain hit the windshield like bullets. Tae-ho Kim gripped the steering wheel tighter as his truck bounced along the muddy road. Lightning flashed across the dark sky, lighting up the empty land around New Seoul Colony for just a moment before everything went black again. "Stupid storm," he said to himself, wiping sweat from his forehead. The truck's headlights cut through the heavy rain, but he could barely see 10 feet ahead. He should have left the mining site hours ago, but the new tunnel needed to be checked. One more time. Now he was paying for it. Thunder crashed overhead so loud it made his ears ring. The truck shook from the sound. Tae-ho had lived on Kappa 7 for 3 years, but storms like this still scared him. Back on Earth, storms were bad. Here on this alien planet, they were monsters. The radio crackled with static. "All vehicles return to base immediately," came the voice of the colony dispatcher. "Category 5 storm approaching? Repeat, all vehicles return to base." Yeah, I'm trying," Tae-ho muttered, turning up the radio volume. But the static was getting worse. Soon he would lose contact completely. His truck hit a deep puddle and water splashed up over the windshield. For a moment he was driving blind. The wipers worked as fast as they could, but the rain was coming down too hard. Tae-ho slowed down even more. The last thing he needed was to get stuck out here. Another flash of lightning lit up the road ahead. In that brief moment of light, Tae-ho saw something that made his heart stop. Something big was blocking the road. Something that definitely should not be there. He hit the brakes hard. The truck slid on the wet road, tires spinning in the mud. For a terrifying moment, he thought he might crash into whatever was ahead. But the truck stopped just in time. About 50 feet away from the thing in the road, Tae-ho sat there for a moment, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. The windshield wipers kept going back and forth, but the rain was so heavy he still could not see clearly. What was that thing? A fallen tree? Debris from the storm? He reached over and grabbed his emergency flashlight from the glove box. The beam was strong, but the rain made it hard to see far. He pointed it through the windshield and tried to make out what was blocking his way. Lightning flashed again, and this time Tae-ho got a good look. That was not a tree. It was not debris. It was alive. The creature was huge, maybe 4 meters tall and even longer from nose to tail. It had scales that seemed to change color in the lightning, sometimes blue, sometimes green, sometimes silver. It looked like the dragons from old Earth stories, but this was real. This was standing right in front of him. "What the hell?" Tae-ho whispered. The creature was not moving much. It stood in the middle of the road, swaying slightly. Its massive head was lowered, and it seemed to be looking at the ground. Or maybe it was not looking at anything at all. Even from this distance, Tae-ho could see that something was wrong with its eyes. They looked cloudy, like milk. Thunder boomed again, and the creature flinched. It took a step backward, stumbling slightly. It made a sound, not a roar, but something softer. Something that sounded almost like crying. Tae-ho's first thought was to call this in. Colonial security needed to know about this immediately. There were protocols for contact with alien life forms. Big protocols. The kind that usually ended with the aliens being shot first and studied later, but something stopped him from reaching. For his radio, the creature was not acting aggressive. It was not attacking his truck or trying to break things. It just stood there in the rain, looking lost and hurt. When the lightning flashed, it cowered like a frightened animal. "You're scared, too, aren't you?" Tae-ho said quietly, as if it hurt him. The creature raised its head. Those cloudy eyes turned toward his truck. The creature made that soft crying sound again, and Tae-ho felt something twist in his chest. He had heard that sound before. It was the sound of something that was hurt and alone. The rain kept falling. The creature kept swaying. And Tae-ho sat in his truck, trying to decide what to do. He could turn around and go back the way he came. Find another route to the colony. Report this to security and let them handle it. That would be the smart thing to do. The safe thing to do, but looking at the creature, all he could think about was his first day on Kappa 7. He had been lost too. Confused and scared in a place that was nothing like home. The other colonists had helped him. They had shown him kindness when he needed it most. Stupid, 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 he muttered, but he was already turning off the truck's engine. The creature's head tilted slightly when the engine noise stopped. It took a small step forward, then stopped. It seemed to be listening. Tejo grabbed his rain jacket from the back seat and his emergency first aid kit. He also picked up a bottle of water and some protein bars from his lunchbox. He did not know if the creature would want human food, but it was better than nothing. He put his hand on the door handle and took a deep breath. Outside, the storm was getting worse. The rain was cold and the wind was strong, but the creature was still out there, alone and hurt. "Please don't eat me," he said to himself, and opened the door. The rain hit him immediately, soaking through his jacket in seconds. The wind tried to push him back toward the truck, but Tejo stepped out into the storm, flashlight in one hand, supply bag in the other. The creature heard him coming. Its head turned toward the sound of his footsteps, but it did not run, it did not attack. It just stood there, waiting. "Easy there," Tejo called out, his voice barely audible over the storm. "I'm not going to hurt you, I just want to help." He took another step forward, then another. The creature made that soft sound again, and somehow Tejo knew he was making the right choice. The storm raged around them, but for the first time that night, Tejo was not afraid. The rain kept falling as Tejo walked slowly toward the creature. Each step made a splash in the puddles on the road. The creature's head followed the sound, turning slightly with each footstep. Those cloudy eyes could not see him, but the creature was listening to everything. "That's right," Tejo said softly, trying to keep his voice calm. "I'm coming closer." "Don't be afraid." The creature was even bigger up close. Its scales were the size of dinner plates, and they seemed to glow faintly in the flashlight beam. The dragon's body was built like a mountain, massive and strong. But the way it held itself, the way it moved, told a different story. This was not a monster. This was something hurt and lost. Tejo stopped about 20 feet away. He could see the creature better now. There were scars along its sides, long, white marks that looked old but painful. Its wings were folded close to its body, and one wing had a tear in it. But it was the eyes that made Tejo's heart hurt. They were completely white, like someone had painted over them. "You can't see, can you?" he said gently. "That's why you're stuck out here in the storm." The creature made a low sound when it heard his voice, not angry or threatening, but curious. It tilted its massive head to one side like a dog trying to understand a new sound. Lightning flashed again, and the creature flinched. It took a step backward, stumbling slightly. Its tail swept across the road, and Tejo could see how unsteady it was. Without its sight, the creature was completely helpless. "Hey, it's okay," Tejo said, taking a small step forward. "The lightning can't hurt you, it's just noise and light." The creature's head turned toward his voice again. This time it made a different sound, softer, almost like a question. Tejo felt something strange happen in his chest. He was starting to understand this creature, even though they had no words in common. "I'm going to call you Naru," he said, remembering the Korean word for day. "Maybe things will get brighter for you." Naru seemed to like the sound of the name. The creature's head bobbed slightly, almost like a nod. Tejo smiled, even though he was soaking wet and standing in the middle of a storm talking to an alien dragon. "Are you hungry, Naru?" he asked, reaching into his bag for the protein bars. "I don't know what you eat, but this is all I have." He unwrapped one of the bars and held it out. The smell seemed to interest Naru. The creature's nostrils flared, and it took a careful step forward. Its massive head lowered toward Tejo's outstretched hand. For a moment, Tejo was terrified. Naru's mouth was full of teeth, each one the size of a knife. One wrong move, and those teeth could take his whole arm off. But he held still, letting Naru smell the food. The creature's tongue was huge and purple, but it was gentle when it touched the protein bar. Naru took the food carefully, like it was trying not to hurt Tejo's hand. The bar disappeared in one small bite. "You are hungry," Tejo said, reaching for another bar. "Here, have another one." This time, Naru took the food with more confidence. The creature was starting to trust him. Tejo could feel it in the way Naru moved, the way the dragon's body language changed. The fear was going away. Good, Teho sighed. That's good. We're starting to understand each other. He pulled out his water bottle and opened it. Do you want some water? You must be thirsty. Naru's head tilted again when it heard the water splash. The creature made that questioning sound again, and Taiho took it as a yes. He held out the bottle, and Naru drank carefully. Water spilled down the dragon's chin, but most of it went where it was supposed to go. You're very polite for a giant dragon, Taiho said with a small laugh. Most people I know would have just grabbed the bottle. As if it understood the joke, Naru made a sound that almost seemed like laughter. It was a rumbling, musical sound that came from deep in the creature's chest. Taiho felt himself relaxing. This was working. They were actually communicating, but then another flash of lightning lit up the sky, followed by a crash of thunder that shook the ground. Naru cried out and stumbled backward, nearly falling. The creature was terrified of the storm, and without its sight, it could not tell where the danger was coming from. It's okay, Taiho said quickly, moving closer. The lightning is far away. It can't hurt you. But Naru was panicking now. The creature swayed back and forth, making distressed sounds. It tried to move away from the lightning, but it did not know which way to go. Taiho watched in horror as the dragon stumbled toward the edge of the road, where the ground dropped off into a deep ditch. No, wait, Taiho shouted, running forward. Don't go that way. Without thinking, he reached out and touched Naru's leg. The scales were warm and smooth under his hand. The creature froze when it felt his touch, but it did not pull away. This way, Taiho said softly, gently guiding Naru back toward the center of the road. The ground is safe here. Stay with me. Naru followed his touch, trusting him completely. The creature's breathing was still fast and scared, but it was listening. Taiho's voice. It was following his lead. That's it, Taiho said, keeping his hand on Naru's leg. You're safe now. I won't let anything happen to you. The storm was getting worse, but Taiho realized he had a bigger problem. He could not leave Naru here alone. The creature would not survive another night in the storm. But he also could not take a 4-meter dragon back to the colony. The security team would shoot first and ask questions later. What am I going to do with you? He asked, looking up at Naru's face. The creature looked down at him with those cloudy eyes, and Taiho felt like it was asking the same question. 2. Lost souls in a storm, trying to figure out how to help each other. I know a place, he said finally. It's not much, but it's dry and warm. Do you trust me enough to come with me? Naru made that soft questioning sound again, and Taiho took it as a yes. He had no idea how he was going to explain this to anyone, but he knew one thing for certain: he was not going to leave Naru alone in the storm. Getting Naru to follow his truck was harder than Taiho had thought. The dragon could not see where they were going, and the sound of the engine scared it at first. But slowly, with lots of patience and gentle words, Taiho got Naru to walk behind the truck as he drove very slowly down the muddy road. That's it, Naru, he called out through the open window. Just follow my voice. We're almost there. The rain was still falling hard, but the lightning was moving away. Naru seemed less scared now, walking steadily behind the truck. Sometimes the dragon would make soft sounds, and Taiho would answer back, keeping up a conversation that neither of them really understood, but both of them felt. 20 minutes later, they reached Taiho's workshop. It was a big metal building on the edge of the colony, where he kept his construction equipment and did repairs. Most importantly, it was private. No one else came here unless he invited them. This is it, Taiho said, stopping the truck and getting out. This is where I work. It's dry inside, and there's plenty of room for you. Naru stood in the rain, water streaming off its scales. The dragon's head turned toward the sound of Taiho's voice, waiting for instructions. The door is big enough, Taiho said, looking at the loading dock entrance. Just barely, but you'll fit. He walked over to the control panel and hit the button. The large metal door began to rise with a grinding sound. Naru flinched at the noise but did not run away. It's okay, Taiho said quickly. That's just the door opening. Come on, let's get you inside where it's warm. The inside of the workshop was dark until Tejo turned on the lights. It was a big open space with concrete floors and high ceilings. There were workbenches along the walls and several pieces of heavy machinery covered with tarps. In one corner was a small office with a couch and a coffee maker. "Welcome to my home away from home," Tejo said, guiding Naru inside. "It's not fancy, but it's dry." Naru walked carefully into the workshop, its claws clicking on the concrete floor. The dragon's head moved back and forth, and Tejo realized it was using some kind of natural sonar to map out the space. "You can do echolocation," he said, impressed. "That's how you were getting around even though you can't see." But as he watched, Tejo noticed something wrong. Naru's head movements were not smooth and confident like they should be. The dragon kept pausing, tilting its head, trying again. The echolocation was not working right. "Your natural navigation is broken too," Tejo said sadly. "That's why you were lost on the road. You can't see and you can't hear where you're going." Naru made that soft questioning sound again, and Tejo wished he could explain. Instead, he just patted the dragon's leg gently. "Don't worry," he said. "We'll figure it out." The workshop was much warmer than outside, and Naru seemed to like it. The dragon found a clear space in the middle of the room and slowly laid down, folding its legs under its body. For the first time since Tejo had met it, Naru looked relaxed. "Good," Tejo said. "You rest? I'm going to get some things to help. You feel better." He went to his first aid cabinet and pulled out bandages, antiseptic, and anything else that might help. He also grabbed some old blankets from the office. They were not big enough to cover Naru, but they might help with the worst of the wounds. As he worked, Tejo heard the sound of a vehicle outside. His heart jumped. Who would be out here in this storm? He quickly turned off most of the lights and looked out the window. It was Beorem Lee, his assistant. She was running from her small car to the workshop door, a bag over her head to keep the rain off. "Tejo," she called out. "Are you in there? I saw your truck and got worried." Tejo looked at Naru, who had raised its head at the sound of a new voice. The dragon looked curious, but not afraid. "I'm sorry, Naru," he whispered. "I have to let her in. She's a friend." He walked to the door and opened it. Beoram rushed inside, shaking water from her hair. "I was so worried about you," she said. "The storm got so bad, and when you didn't answer your radio, I thought maybe you were hurt or—" She stopped talking. She had seen Naru. For a moment, nobody moved. Beoram stood by the door, her mouth open, staring at the dragon. Naru sat in the middle of the workshop, its blind eyes turned toward the sound of her voice. And Tejo stood between them, trying to think of something to say. "Beoram," he said finally. "I can explain." Beoram made a small squeaking sound. She took a step backward toward the door. That's a dragon," she whispered. "Yes," Tejo said. "Its name is Naru, and before you run away screaming, you should know that it's hurt and scared and completely harmless." "Harmless?" Beoram's voice went up an octave. "Look at the size of those teeth." As if it understood they were talking about it, Naru made that soft questioning sound again. The dragon's head tilted to one side, and somehow it managed to look curious and friendly despite being 4 meters tall and covered in scales. "It's blind," Tejo said quickly. "And its echolocation is broken. It was lost in the storm. I couldn't just leave it there." "You brought it here?" Beoram asked. "Tejo, do you know what the colony rules say about unregistered alien contact?" "No," he said. "But look at it, Beoram." "Really look at it. Does it look like a monster to you?" Beoram took a careful step forward, studying Naru's face. The dragon's expression was gentle, almost sad. When it heard her footsteps, Naru made a soft welcoming sound. It's trying to say hello," she sobbed, amazed. "That's right," Tejo said. "It's intelligent. It understands that we're trying to help." Beoram walked closer, still nervous but no longer terrified. "What happened to its eyes?" "I think it's some kind of disease," Tejo said. "And see these scars? Someone or something hurt it badly. I think it was driven away from its family." "Oh," Bo-Ram said softly. Oh, you poor thing. She reached out her hand, then stopped. Is it safe to touch it? It's very gentle, Teho said. Just move slowly and let it smell you first. Bo-Ram held out her hand, and Naru carefully sniffed it with that huge purple tongue. Then the dragon made a happy rumbling sound and gently nudged her hand with its nose. It likes you, Teho said with a smile. Bo-Ram looked up at him, and he could see that she was starting to understand. What are we going to do with it? I don't know, Teho admitted. But I know what we're not going to do. We're not going to report it to security. And we're not going to let anyone hurt it, Bo-Ram nodded slowly. You're right. But Teho, if anyone finds out about this, then we make sure no one finds out, he said. At least not until we figure out how to help it. Outside, the storm was finally starting to calm down. But inside the workshop, Teho realized that his life had just become much more complicated. He had a secret now. A 4-meter, scale-covered secret that needed food, medicine, and protection. What have I gotten myself into? He asked himself, but when he looked at Naru, resting peacefully in the warmth of the workshop, he knew he had made the right choice. Some things were more important than rules. 3 days had passed since Teho brought Naru to the workshop. The dragon was getting stronger, but its eyes were still cloudy white. Bo-Ram had been coming by every day after work, bringing food and supplies. She was not scared of Naru anymore. In fact, she was starting to love the gentle giant. Good morning, Naru, she said as she walked into the workshop. The dragon's head turned toward her voice, and it made that happy rumbling sound. It knows your voice now, Teho said from his workbench. Listen to this. He pulled out a small device and played a recording. It was Naru making different sounds, some questioning, some happy, some sad, but mixed in with the dragon sounds were words. Human words. Hello, came Naru's voice from the recording, though it sounded strange with the dragon's accent. Teho. Bo-Ram, good. Bo-Ram's eyes went wide. It's learning Korean? Just a few words, Tao said proudly. But it's trying to talk to us. Yesterday it said, hungry, when it wanted food. Naru heard its own voice on the recording and made an excited sound. It tried to say hello again, and this time it was clearer. Hello, Bo-Ram, Naru said slowly. Oh my God, Bo-Ram whispered. Hello, Naru, how are you feeling? Naru tilted its head, thinking. Good, it said finally. Warm, safe. Bo-Ram looked at Teho with tears in her eyes. It understands so much more than we thought. That's not all, Teho said. Show her what you found yesterday, Naru. The dragon stood up carefully and walked to the corner of the workshop. There, scratched into the concrete floor, were simple drawings. They looked like pictures of other dragons and trees and what might have been buildings. It drew these with its claws, Teho explained. I think it's trying to tell us about its home, about its family. Knelt down to look at the drawings more closely. There are so many of them. And look at this. These aren't just caves or nests. These look like ... like a city. That's what I thought too, Teho said. I don't think Naru's people are just animals. I think they had a civilization. Had? Bo-Ram asked. Naru made a sad sound when it heard that word. It walked over to the drawings and touched them gently with one claw. Gone, it said quietly. All gone. The two humans looked at each other. They were starting to understand that Naru's story was bigger and sadder than they had thought. We need help, Bo-Ram said. Medical help. Someone who knows about biology and healing. I know, Teho said. But who can we trust? If we tell the wrong person. Dr. Sujin Choi, Bo-Ram said suddenly. Teho shook his head. The colony's medical officer? Are you crazy? She works for the government. She used to work with you, didn't she, before she became a doctor? Yeah, we were both engineers, but that was years ago. Do you trust her? Teho thought about it. Sujin had always been different from the other colonists. She cared more about helping people than following rules. During the plague outbreak 2 years ago, she had risked her job to treat the illegal miners who were not supposed to be on the planet. Maybe, he said finally, but it's a huge risk. Look at Naru, Bahram said. Its eyes are getting worse. And sometimes when it tries to use echolocation, it gets dizzy and falls down. We don't know how to help it. Teho looked at the dragon, who was lying down again, looking tired. Naru had been getting weaker each day, not stronger. Whatever was wrong with it was getting worse. Okay, he said, I'll call her. But we do this carefully. That evening, Teho met Sujin at a small restaurant in the colony. She looked the same as always, smart, serious, but with kind eyes behind her glasses. It's good to see you, Teho, she said. Your message sounded urgent. What's wrong? I need to ask you something, he said. And I need you to promise me that you'll keep it secret. Sujin studied his face. Is someone hurt? In a way, yes. But it's complicated. Tell me. Teho took a deep breath. If you found an injured animal, something you'd never seen before, what would you do? I'd try to help it, she said without hesitation. Why? Even if it was big? Even if other people might be scared of it? Teho, what are you talking about? He looked around the restaurant to make sure no one was listening. I found something. Someone. And it needs medical help. What kind of someone? The kind that's not supposed to exist according to colonial records. Sujin's eyes widened. You found indigenous life? Intelligent life? Very intelligent and very hurt. She leaned forward. Where is it? My workshop. But Sujin, if you report this ... I won't, she said firmly. But I need to see it first. I need to understand what we're dealing with. An hour later, the three of them stood outside the workshop. Sujin was nervous, but she was trying to hide it. It's very gentle, Bahram said. But it's also very big, so don't be scared. How big? Sujin asked. You'll see, Teho said, opening the door. The workshop was dimly lit, but they could see Naru lying in the center of the room. The dragon's head came up when it heard voices. Hello, Teho, Naru said in its strange accent. Hello, Bahram. Sujin stopped walking. She stared at the dragon with her mouth open. It can talk, she whispered. A little, Teho said. Naru, this is Sujin. She's a doctor. She wants to help you. Naru's head turned toward Sujin. The dragon studied her with those cloudy eyes that made a soft questioning sound. Hello, Sujin, Naru said carefully. Hello, Sujin said back, her voice shaking slightly. Oh my God, it's beautiful. She walked closer and Naru watched her every step. May I examine you? She asked. And are you looked at Teho, who nodded? It's okay, he said. She's a friend. Friend, Naru repeated, seeming to like the word. Sujin spent the next hour looking at Naru's eyes, listening to its heartbeat, checking the old scars. She was amazed by what she found. This is incredible, she said finally. Its biology is completely different from anything I've seen, but somehow familiar too. And these eye problems, I think I might know what's causing them. You do? But Ram asked hopefully. It's a neurological condition. The connections between the brain and the sensory organs are damaged, but the good news is I think it can be treated. How? Teho asked. Neural stimulation therapy. We use it on humans who have lost their sight or hearing. With some modifications? It might work on Naru too. Might? Sujin looked at the dragon, who was listening to every word even though it probably did not understand all of them. I don't know, she said honestly. But I do know that if we don't try, Naru will keep getting worse. Eventually it will lose all its senses completely. Then we try? Teho said without hesitation. It will take time, Sujin warned. And we'll need equipment and supplies. Things I can't just take from the medical center without people asking questions. We'll figure it out, Bahram said. We have to. Naru made that happy rumbling sound. Again, it could not understand all their words, but it understood their tone. It knew they were trying to help. Thank you, Naru said to Sujin. Thank you, friend. And in that moment, Sujin knew that she would do anything to help this gentle creature. Even if it meant risking everything she had worked for. You're welcome, she said softly. We're going to take good care of you. Outside, the colony slept, peacefully unaware that 3 humans had just decided to change the course of history. 2 weeks had passed since Sujin started treating. Naru, the neural stimulation therapy was working better than anyone had hoped. Small devices attached to Naru's head sent gentle electrical signals to its brain, helping to repair the damaged connections. "Look," Sujin said excitedly, holding up a scanner. "The neural pathways are regenerating. Naru's brain is actually healing itself." Naru sat patiently as Sujin checked its eyes with a small light. The dragon had learned to trust the medical equipment, even though some of it made strange noises. "Can you see this?" Sujin asked, holding up her hand. Naru's eyes, which were no longer completely white, tracked the movement slowly. "Hand," Naru said in its careful Korean. Sujin hand. "Moving, yes," Ram cheered. "You can see." "Little bit," Naru said, sounding happy. "Very blurry." But seeing Taeho grinned as he watched from his workbench. The past 2 weeks had been amazing. Not only was Naru getting better, but the dragon was learning new words every day. It could now have simple conversations and had even started telling them stories about its people. "Tell Sujin about your family," Taeho said. "The way you told us yesterday." Naru's expression became sad, but it nodded. "My people called Kethmari," it said slowly. "We lived here long time, many years before humans come." "How long?" Sujin asked, fascinated. Are you thought for a moment, trying to find the right words? "Many, many generations. We take care of planet. Make it good for life. You were terraformers?" Sujin asked in surprise. "Your people were changing the planet?" "Yes," Naru said proudly. "We make air good, water clean, soil rich. For all life, not just Kethmari." The three humans looked at each other in amazement. They had been thinking of Naru as a refugee, but the truth was much bigger than that. "What happened to your people?" Bioram asked gently. Naru's head drooped. "Human machines come. Big machines change everything too fast, hurt the land. My people try to stop, but humans think we are dangerous. They attack us." "Oh no," Sujin whispered. "Most Kethmari run away to deep caves," Naru continued. "But I was sick, blind. Could not keep up. Family leave me behind." "They left you?" Taeho asked, angry. "Had to," Naru said sadly. "If they stay, all die. Better one die than all die." The workshop became very quiet. The humans were starting to understand the full tragedy of what had happened. The human colony had unknowingly destroyed an ancient civilization, and Naru was one of the survivors. "There must be others," Sujin said. "Finally, other Kethmari who survived." "Maybe," Naru said hopefully. "In deep places, but I cannot find them alone." "You won't be alone," Taeho said firmly. "We'll help you find them." But before Naru could answer, they heard the sound of vehicles outside. Multiple vehicles, coming fast. "What's that?" Bioram asked. Looking worried, Taeho ran to the window and looked out. His heart sank. There were 3 security trucks parked outside, and armed guards were getting out of them. "Security," he said. "Someone found out." "Impossible," Sujin said. "I was so careful with the medical supplies." The workshop door suddenly burst open. Hyenwoo Park, the colony administrator, walked in with 6 security guards. Their weapons were drawn and ready. "Nobody move," Hyenwoo ordered. "We have reports of illegal alien contact." Then he saw Naru. The dragon was sitting in the middle of the workshop, the medical devices still attached to its head. Its eyes, which were finally starting to clear, looked directly at the armed humans. Naru did not move, but it made a low, frightened sound. "Dear God," Hyenwoo breathed. "It's real." "Don't hurt it," Taeho said quickly, stepping between the guards and Naru. "It's not dangerous." "Not dangerous?" Hyenwoo laughed harshly. "Look at the size of that thing. It could kill us all, but it won't," Bororam said. "Naru is gentle. It's intelligent. It can talk." "It can what?" "Hello," Naru said softly, its voice shaking with fear. "Please no hurt, Naru friend." The security guards looked shocked. One of them lowered his weapon slightly. "See?" Sujin said. "It's trying to communicate. It understands us." "I don't care." "If it can recite poetry," Hyenwoo snapped. "Colonial law is clear. All unregistered alien life forms must be eliminated immediately." "You can't." Teho said. This is murder. This is following orders, Hyunwoo replied. Guards, prepare to— Wait, interrupted one of the security officers. Sir, look at this. The officer was pointing at Naru's drawings on the floor. The pictures of the dragon city, the other Kethmari, the symbols and writing. What is it? Hyunwoo asked. It's not just an animal, the officer said. Look at these drawings. This is art, this is ... civilization. Hyunwoo walked over to look at the drawings. His expression changed as he studied them. These are architectural plans, he said slowly. And this writing ... it's a language. Kethmari writing, Naru said proudly. My people make beautiful cities. Make planet good for all life. Your people? Hyunwoo asked. Naru nodded. We here first. Many years before humans. We take care of world. More people were arriving outside. Teho could hear voices, car doors slamming. Word was spreading through the colony that something big was happening at his workshop. Sir, another guard said, there are civilians gathering. Outside, they want to know what's going on. Keep them back, Hyunwoo ordered, but he was looking uncertain now. Please, Naru said, looking directly at Hyunwoo. Naru no hurt anyone. Only want find family. Want help humans and Kethmari live. Together? Live together? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, Naru said hopefully. Kethmari know how to make planet good? Humans have good machines, good medicine. Together we make better world. A child's voice came from outside. Mani, what's that beautiful dragon? Everyone turned toward the window. A little girl had somehow gotten past the security perimeter and was looking through the glass at Naru instead of being scared. She was smiling and waving. Are you saw the child and made a happy sound? Hello, little human, it said gently, waving back with one large claw. The little girl giggled. It talks. It's friendly. More children appeared at the window, drawn by the excitement. Their parents tried to pull them back, but the children were fascinated, not frightened. It's like the dragons in stories, one boy said. But real? And nice, added another child. Hyunwoo watched this interaction with growing confusion. This was not how alien first contact was supposed to go. There was supposed to be fear, panic, danger. Instead, he was watching children make friends with a creature that was supposed to be a deadly threat. Sir, Sujin said quietly, this creature has been here for weeks. If it wanted to hurt anyone, it would have done it by now. Instead, it's been learning our language and trying to understand our culture. And it's been telling us about its people, Ram added. People who were here long before us. People we displaced without even knowing it. Hyunwoo looked at Naru, who was still waving at the children through the window. The dragon's eyes, though still cloudy, were filled with kindness and hope. What am I supposed to do? He asked, more to himself than to anyone else. The right thing, Teho said simply. Give Naru a chance. Give its people a chance. Outside, more colonists were arriving. The word was spreading. There was a real dragon in Teho's workshop, and it was friendly. Some people were scared, but many were curious. And the children were all excited. Hyunwoo realized that whatever decision he made now would change everything for the colony. He could follow orders and eliminate the threat. Or he could take a risk and try something that had never been done before. He looked at Naru one more time. The dragon was watching him hopefully, waiting to see if the humans would choose fear or friendship. Lower your weapons, he told his guards. Sir? One of them asked. Lower them. We're going to try a different approach. 1 month later, Naru stood on a hill overlooking New Seoul Colony. Its eyes were completely clear now, and it could see everything, the buildings, the people, the machines working in the distance. Sujin's treatment had worked perfectly. Not only could Naru see again, but its echolocation was working better than ever. It's beautiful, Naru said in Korean, which it now spoke almost perfectly. Your people build well. Teho smiled as he stood next to his dragon friend. Wait until you see what we can build together. Below them, something amazing was happening. Humans and Kethmari were working side by side. 3 more dragons had come out of the deep caves when they heard that Naru was safe. They were smaller than Naru, younger, but just as intelligent and gentle. There, Naru pointed with one claw. Gina is teaching humans about soil preparation. And look, Minho is learning to operate your earth-moving machines. Teho watched as a young Kethmari carefully controlled a massive excavator with surprising skill. The dragon's natural understanding of the land, combined with human engineering, was making the terraforming work go faster than anyone had imagined. Your people learn so quickly, he said. We had to, Naru replied. When you cannot see, you must understand everything through touch and sound and smell. It makes learning other things easier. Over the past month, everything had changed. After Hyowu decided to try cooperation instead of elimination, word had spread quickly through the colony. Some people had been scared at first, but the children led the way in accepting the Kethmari. Within a week, dragon-human friendships were forming everywhere. The real breakthrough came when the Kethmari shared their knowledge of Kappa 7. They had been studying the planet for thousands of years, learning how to work with its natural systems instead of against them. The human terraforming project, which had been struggling for years, suddenly started succeeding beyond their wildest dreams. Naru, Bahram called out as she climbed the hill toward them. The council meeting is starting soon? Council meeting? Teho asked. The Joint Human Kethmari Planning Council, Bahram explained. They're deciding on the new city designs. Naru's eyes lit up with excitement. The cities that both our peoples can share. I still cannot believe it is real. They walked down the hill together toward the colony's main building. As they went, people waved and called out greetings to Naru. Children ran up to pat the dragons. Legs and Naru always stopped to say hello to each one. Uncle Naru, called a little girl named So Young. Will you tell us another story tonight? Of course, Naru said, lowering its head to her level. Would you like to hear about the floating gardens of the old Kethmari cities? Yes, yes. Several children shouted at once. Teho watched this interaction with a warm feeling in his chest. Naru had become like a beloved uncle to the colony's children. The dragon told them stories about Kethmari culture, taught them how to listen to the planet's natural rhythms, and showed them that being different was not something to fear. In the meeting hall, representatives from both species sat around a large table. Dr. Sujin was there, now serving as the official liaison between human medicine and Kethmari biology. Hanwu was there too, though his title had changed from administrator to cooperation coordinator. The soil restoration project in Sector 7 is ahead of schedule, reported a human engineer. The Kethmari technique of using native fungi is working better than our chemical treatments. And the new water purification system is operational, added Gina, one of the younger Kethmari. Combining human filtration technology with natural biological processes gives us the cleanest water the planet has ever had. Naru listened to the reports with pride. This was what its people had always dreamed of. Not just survival, but cooperation. Two different species working together to make something better than either could achieve alone. There is something else we need to discuss, Naru said when it was its turn to speak. My people have been sending word to other Kethmari groups across the planet. Many are interested in joining us, but some are still afraid. Afraid of what? Hyunwoo asked. Afraid that humans will change their minds, Naru said honestly. Afraid that this cooperation is temporary. The room became quiet. It was a fair concern. The Kethmari had been betrayed before, driven from their homes by machines and weapons. Why should they trust that this time would be different? What can we do to prove our commitment? Sujin asked Duden. Hey, are you thought for a moment? In Kethmari culture, we have a ceremony called the Bonding of Worlds. It is performed when two groups decide to share a territory permanently. If humans would participate in this ceremony, it would show all Kethmari that you truly want us as partners, not just temporary helpers. What does the ceremony involve? Teho asked. Each side contributes something precious to create a shared symbol. For Kethmari, we would contribute scales from our eldest members. For humans... Naru paused. What do humans consider most precious? Our knowledge, Bahram said without hesitation. our accumulated learning and discoveries. Then we combine Kethmari scales with human knowledge crystals, Naru said, and we plant them together in the ground where our new shared city will be built. The symbol will grow into a tree that belongs to both our peoples. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. When can we perform this ceremony? Tomorrow, if you are willing, Naru said hopefully. The next day, both humans and Kethmari gathered in the valley where their new city would be built. Taeho watched as the eldest Kethmari, a magnificent dragon named Elder Keth, carefully removed several large scales and placed them in a special container. The human colonists contributed data crystals containing everything they had learned. About engineering, medicine, agriculture, and art, Naru and Taeho worked together to dig a hole in the rich soil. The combined gifts of both peoples were placed inside, along with seeds from a Kethmari tree that could live for thousands of years. Today we plant more than a tree, Elder Keth said in carefully practiced Korean. We plant a future where our children will grow up together. A future where being different makes us stronger, not enemies. Taeho added they covered the seeds and gifts with soil, and both humans and Kethmari placed their hands on the ground in blessing. Children from both species watered the spot with clean water from their new purification system. 6 months later, Naru stood in the same spot, now surrounded by the foundations of New Harmony, the first city designed by both humans and Kethmari. The tree had grown faster than anyone expected, already reaching 10 feet tall. Its leaves shimmered with colors that seemed to change in the light, and its roots had spread deep into the planet's soil. "It's beautiful," Sujin said, joining Naru under the tree's shade. "It's home," Naru replied simply. Around them, the city was taking shape. Buildings that curved with the land's natural contours, bridges that doubled as gardens, and open spaces where both species could gather. Human engineering combined with Kethmari environmental wisdom was creating something neither could have imagined alone. "You know," Taeho said as he walked up to them, "when I found you on that road during the storm, I never imagined it would lead to this." Naru looked at its human friend with deep affection. In Kethmari stories, we say that the greatest journeys begin with a single act of kindness. You saw a lost creature and chose to help instead of harm. That choice changed everything. "Not just for us," Boram added, pointing to where human and Kethmari children were playing together around the tree. "For all of our futures." As the sun set over New Harmony, painting the sky in brilliant colors, Naru felt something it had not felt since before losing its sight, complete happiness. It was no longer lost, no longer alone. It had found something better than its old life. It had found a new way forward, built on the simple human truth that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is extend your hand to a stranger in the storm and say, "Let me help." And from that small beginning, an entire world had changed. The end.